This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about another association that you feel strongly about that I read about in the book. You wanted to explore celebrities to take part in the show, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Sadler brothers, Sterling Marlin. There's lots of different NASCAR drivers that you think you could sort of hitch your wagon to. Why did you feel like that was a perfect crossover thing? And why did you think you could make it happen?
Wow. There is a lot to unpack here, but going with the mindset that the majority of our business is going to come from the Southeast and the Midwest. That's country music and NASCAR. And me, from a very personal, and I've told this story through the years, you know, when I would go to a Preds game, NHL hockey, I would go to NBA basketball, do appearances. I'd go to NFL games. Whatever kind of event out in public, two things, it was always to a whole different level. If I went to a country music venue or if I went to a NASCAR race, the crossover is astronomical, comparatively speaking. I'd met Hermie Sadler in Las Vegas through a WWF event in the mid-90s. They brought a simulator. Him and Elliott brought a simulator to the arena one time. Anyway, me and Hermie hit it off from day one. Been one of my best friends ever since. We go way, way back. So, and again, I knew the different, that's who I'd met a lot of drivers. Now, again, in 2001, 1999, NASCAR then, as it is today, it's apples to oranges. Nothing. It was you talk about the golden age because it had a group of established Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt. I don't want to get too in the weeds, but some real rock star celebrities of drivers. But then they had this new crop. The ratings on Fox were through the roof. So, putting in my promoter mind cap and watching Vince with Mike Tyson, and I mean, we could go all the way down the list of WrestleManias, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Muhammad Ali. I mean, just, Vince is the master at that, of maximizing someone else's audience and bringing them to the event, bring him to the wrestling events. Vince has a lot of things that he doesn't have a peer in. This is one of them that I've always been fascinated and really studied through the years. Like, man, he has this guy here. And look, he doesn't hit about 1,000. Nobody does. But maximizing other folks' audiences and bring him and capitalizing and monetizing that. So that being said, I said, okay, we've got to come out of the gate. We've got who's big. And so country music and NASCAR were two areas that I had personal relationships on. But from a business mindset, I wanted to bring to the table.
The associations with celebrities that work the best, in my opinion, were the ones with athletes who were going to compete in the ring, whether it was Karl Malone or Rodman or Lawrence Taylor or even Mike Tyson. Even though Mike didn't work a match, you knew, hey, Mike's going to fight somebody. He's going to hit somebody. He's a boxer
on the planet.
What's the thinking with a NASCAR driver? One of these guys is going to drive a getaway car for somebody, or, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but I'm saying nobody's ever thought that Jeff Gordon's going to come in here and beat everybody's ass. Like, that's not a thing.
Engagement. And Hermie agreed to wrestle. He had wrestled.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
and Hermie was a cut driver. He might not have been Dale Earnhardt, but had a name, but also, create the storyline and you can advertise NASCAR's Hermie Sadler is wrestling.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
That's the headline.
Okay, I get it now. I'll quit busting your balls on that. You also have some early meetings with talent that sort of shocked me.
Conrad, Jesus, batter up, dude. No, I'm kidding.
So let's talk about Toby Keith. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about him. What was his role going to be? Talent, investor, friend of the show? What was your relationship with Toby Keith here? And we'll call it March of 2002.
So it's, I could really get, Toby's a special human being. In so many different ways. I met him, like I said earlier, playing a celebrity pickup basketball game, which was a lot of fun, but just remaining friends. And then You got to remember 9/11 and Angry American he just had wrote it at the end of 2001, going in 2002. And when he went out on tour in 2002, look, it had never been played on the radio. I'm getting chills right now. It was a brand new song. And we drove up to Evansville, me and Ron Harris, and they were talking about it. And this song, and he goes, just listen to the people when we get to this point in the song, Jeff. I want you, and Ron, and listen to them. It's a story about, American, the angry American. And when you hear the words of it, but he said, listen to the people roar. And it's again, if you could say it, it's like, this is all sort of the feel goods of being an entertainer. When you create a piece of work and the people respond to it, and it's not manufactured, it's real emotion. So that was in Evansville, drove up, came to the show, and I had the mindset, I want to come up to you. I was going to talk with Toby. Toby, I'd love for you to perform, open the show or play on the show, or I don't know where it was, but I already had in my mind, I wanted to be a part of the show. And then I said, hey, Toby, wouldn't you always want to kick my ass? Because again, Ben Stiller, look, I can put over China, I can put over entertainers, actors, Chuck Norris,
Beetlejuice.
Well, but I didn't ever put Beetlejuice.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. But look, that's what I do. And I take a lot of pride in making other talents look good. I knew that was a skill set that I was gifted with. Akio Sato, as a young man, told me when I was young, Jeff, you've got a unique way of selling that makes your opponents look good. That was like inbred in me. My very first angle when Bill Dundee beat me up, all that. So Toby, hey, I want you to be a part of the show. What do you think? And on top of that, you get to kick my ass for the night. And he joked and like, I'm in, he got into it later, and we'll tell you that on another episode. But this spot that we did on show 1 was a part of his opening montage of video for multiple years after it. So Toby loved wrestling, always did. Grew up in Oklahoma. He loved it. He's a big dude, oil fields, football player, but a great singer-songwriter. But anyhow, went up, Toby, I want you part of the show, again, in that marketing mindset. Country music, NASCAR, and professional wrestling.
Toby was cutting you a buddy deal, not hitting a lick on you.
Toby's buddy deal is still pretty steep, but I'll leave that. Look, I've talked about numbers on the show, but out of respect for Toby, I won't go into it. But it was a brother of a brother deal, but it was still a healthy paycheck.
We're looking for potential investors anywhere we can find them. And just when you think it's all a secret, Vince McMahon makes a play. After leaving Hermie Sadler high and dry the prior year, according to your dad's book, now the WWF is offering him $150,000 for every race of sponsorship money. And this has to be because he's gotten wind of your NASCAR play, right?
So that is a whole nother podcast, but Hermie Sadler and The Rock were going in business together.
I see.
And that went south, and Hermie had spent, this is a whole nother podcast for a whole nother story, but almost $1 million, Conrad. Big
on this new rock venture,
on this Dwayne Johnson, Hermie Sadler racing. And Hermie, so Hermie invested a lot of money, and then that went south overnight because Dwayne didn't own The Rock at that time.
Yeah.
So that went south, and then that all went away, and there were some really hard feelings. And then coincidentally or maybe not so much coincidentally, this resurfaced, and now they're going to figure out a way to do business. But it never panned out. But yes, it resurfaced a year later.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.